us off, Alex.
Good sis.
Okay. Hey everybody, welcome to the first episode of It's a Debate podcast, a podcast started by a group of friends who met at Howard University and have loved each other ever since. On this podcast, we pick a topic, a popular topic, and we have two people pick both sides of it, an unpopular side and then the popular side. And from that, we're going to debate and talk about, what do you think? What's the vibes? My name is Alex. I am originally from the great state of North Carolina. Shout out to Durham, North Carolina, the Bull City. I am an engineer by trade, but I've traced after my dream to be a prosthetist, which is what I'm doing now. I am also your resident bartender. Shout out to the Crafted Soul. I will be bringing you curated cocktails very soon. Let's meet the rest of the girls. Lindsey, this glow you're giving us, please tell us about yourself.
And I'm so glad you called me first, because when you said prosthetist, I'm not going to tell you what I thought you did.
I am a prosthetist. I make prosthetic limbs.
She thought prostitute.
I don't be in the streets.
You know, if you did, that'd be okay too.
No,
like,
Britain, do all first.
No judgment.
No shaming.
Back
no
to
shaming.
you, Lindsey.
Okay, so hey everybody, my name is Lindsey Rutledge. I am from outside of 285, Lithonia, Georgia, by way of Henry County. What else I'm supposed to say? Oh, okay, I'm an educator, among many other things. I've been a dance teacher, body roll approved. If you want to drop some weight or become finer than what you already are, because baby girl, you're doing it already.
Our resident fitness expert in the group.
I don't know about fitness, but
you don't see that collarbone.
We can try to eat right. So yeah, that's me. These are my friends. Love them. Still in Atlanta. I actually live inside of 285 now. I enjoy it. And yeah, that's me.
ITP in the perimeter. I learned that. I love
And since we're here with it, Miss Alanna, why don't you introduce yourself to the group?
Hey y'all, my name is Alanna. I am from Delaware, but I am not living in the great state of Georgia. OTP though, I am not inside the perimeter. Prices are a little too high to be owning. Anyway, I am a mother. I am a wife. I am a goddamn housewife at this point because I got set up with the okie doke during quarantine, but we're not gonna talk about that.
Hey Rhodes.
And hey Rhodes. I love you, son. Besides that, I am a lover of nature from a distance. I am an environmental policy consultant by trade. And yeah, I am here to whoop Tena's ass for this interview.
Oh my. We're not there yet. But okay.
Wait. I want to go back, hostess with the mostest, because I forgot to share my favorite memory of the group. And
It's always somebody.
I just want to say it real quick, because we're actually still trying to figure out, even though we know the truth, this person will never admit it. They actually, our freshman year, broke somebody's hamper. Who hangs in somebody's hamper with their feet up in the air dangling?
Ridiculous for that. Paige is
Starts with a T. Starts with a T, ends with an A.
Oh my God.
So
Kristina, please be the
Ashley
voice of reason.
And she's over it. So all I need y'all to do is to take a deep breath and get the fuck over it, because Ashley don't care no more. Queen don't care. I need y'all to let this go. We're not letting it go.
Never let it go.
Kristina, please tell us about yourself.
What's up, y'all? It's Kristina, aka Christy. I'm originally from Stone Mountain, Georgia. Moved around a lot in Georgia since, but currently residing in north of the A. I have a background in computer science, master's in information systems. Was doing software testing for a bit, and then moved on to healthcare and venturing to see where that leads me.
Sweet.
And in my spare time, I do a plethora of artistic things.
She can cook.
She's our resident chef. So, I mean, already we got a chef, a bartender, fitness.
There you go. From Chris with Love, trying out different recipes. Do West African dance mostly, a little bit of Central and East in there sometimes. And yeah.
Wait, talk about Lindsey. I was about to do the same thing.
Because y'all are stupid.
Go ahead.
Tianny! Tell the
What's
people
up?
about yourself.
So my name is Tianny Sims. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, and every day I plot world domination. I'm gonna achieve that goal through education, one young impressionable mind at a time. But yeah, check me out.
The children of the future.
Okay, sorry, but everybody shaking their head when Tianny was like, I plot world domination.
Yes, everybody went like
That seems accurate. That seems very accurate, actually.
It is very
crazy
accurate.
is I say that to myself all the time. So when y'all agreed, I was like, what the fuck do they know that I don't know?
It seemed on brand. It seemed very accurate. Yeah.
It was on point.
And since you're in the middle of the screen, my beautiful love, Miss Paige, tell us about yourself.
Hey guys, my name is Paige. I am from the DMV area, currently living in Philadelphia. I'm a mechanical engineer by education, but I'm currently a packaging engineer. I too am a mother to a Boston Terrier. His name is Chef, and that's about it.
That though.
Metro PCS is
Wow. He's in my heart, and that's it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, he lives with my parents, but so.
They gain custody.
As you can see, we are a very well-rounded, loving group of individuals.
And last but not least,
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
Wow.
My Tena, my love.
Waiting for
This means noted, Alex.
Note that.
Noted, baby.
I'm gonna be next on the whoop ass list. I see. It's fine. It's fine. Tena, my love, please tell us about yourself.
I'm Tena. These girls call me Beans. I am a lover. I'm a fitness enthusiast. I am mother to Gloria. I am wife to John.
Ooh.
I am a sister to those on the call, and I'm just happy to be here. And I'm from the DMV area, but currently reside in the Houston area with my girl Tianny. And I'm a chemical engineer, and that's it.
And she's beautiful, guys. She's
Gorgeous, honey.
Popping, sis.
Look at them curls.
Catch the swoop.
Do y'all see that part?
Swoop.
Yeah, it's the part for me.
It's the part,
for me.
The key is you don't go straight. You gotta look.
A little
You gotta
curve.
swoop it.
I think I need a part. I need a part. I need a part.
Yeah, right.
What? Okay. So for our first debate today, we're going to be talking about the oh so juicy. Is salary a necessary and important factor when determining whether you and your partner are equally yoked? All right. Now, I know summer's coming up. We're looking for our husbands and our wives. So we need to know, is salary important? Now, on our affirmative side, we have Tena, who is arguing that it is important. And on our opposing side, we have Miss Alanna, who says it is not important. All right. Which one we're going to go with? Let's see what the ladies have to say.
All right, ladies. I'm going to start by giving you some spiritual evidence, and we're going to follow it up with some statistical evidence. So equally yoked. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14. Do not be yoked together with unbelievers, okay?
Amen.
That scripture is speaking more to the morality, but let's just focus on what is a yoke, okay? It's not an egg yolk, as some may believe. A yoke is the wooden, basically, beam between two oxen when they're farming.
Okay.
Let me point you also to the scripture. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. Or my burden is light, my yoke is easy. I don't remember, but you know what I'm trying to say. And in that, God is basically saying my yoke is easy, meaning if you hold my burden, it will be light. If you go through my path, life will be easy. Okay, so that yoke, what we're talking about, it's really referring to how much work you're doing. And you are going to do more work when you are with someone who's not aligned with you. Now that's the spiritual. Let's get to the statistics.
Come on, paperwork.
And these statistics, they're so alarming, guys. Okay. First of all, according to the census, the average marriage age is 30.5 for men and 28 for women. Meaning at the point that you get married, we are not young. We're set in our lifestyles, okay? We're not young, but like you can no longer use the excuse of I'm getting myself together because you're there, okay?
True.
The median personal income for the US for a full-time employee is $38,000.
The devil is
the
alive.
median household income for the US is 68 to 75K. I kept getting different answers, but we'll go with 75K. That's 2 people for their household with their kids, 75K. The median mortgage payment is $1,500 a month. The cost for a child, it depends. They say that the average is 13K, but the median is 6K, right? Average is everybody, median represents more of the average person, I guess. So between 6 and 13K. So when I looked at the cost of mortgage and the cost of a kid monthly, and I factored in taxes, if the average household makes 75K, after they pay just for the house and their childcare, they have 2K left per month. That's car notes, that is food, that is recreational activities. And that is very difficult to build in wealth off of. And by wealth, I mean savings and I mean retirement. 2K per month for everything. So it's just so hard to break generational wealth for the most of Americans, okay? Now, on top of that, I found that the median to average debt was $2,500 to $6,300. That's consumer debt per person. So it's like, even if you are at that median, you still are carrying $6,500 of debt. Now, this is the most alarming part. The average income for a college grad is 65K.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's not what I thought it was going to be. I thought it would be higher, but it's 65K. If you make 65K, this is where the stats get alarming, ladies. You're in the 20th percentile of earners for the US.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If you are a Black woman making 65K, you are in the 11th percentile. That's crazy. Right? That's dumb. Okay? The average income for someone without a degree is 30K. Okay? Now here's where I'm really going to blow your mind. If you are a Black woman with a college degree, a millennial, and you make 6 figures, for that demographic, you are in the top 2 percentile.
I can believe that.
Right?
Yeah.
If you make 75K, you are the top 5%. That is ridiculous to me. I cannot believe that if you just make 75K as a Black woman, and I'm catering these stats to Black women because that's who we are, you are in the top 5%. Why do I bring up all these statistics? It's to sober us on how close America is to struggling to make bills meet. It's easy to say that salary doesn't matter. You know, if you make 100K, if you make 200K, that's great to have that perspective. But for the average American, according to these statistics, you are really on the verge of not being able to maintain that lifestyle that you want. And so if you are somehow able to get that college degree and make that 65K, you really are in the top percentile of earners. And it's very important to find someone who has also been able to break through, because it's hard to break through. And if you find someone who hasn't broken through, again, that yoke, that burden, you are going to be carrying your family financially. And so I would like to just say that, you know, yoke means how hard are we working together? Equally yoked means that we're doing the same thing together. And these stats show us that it's very difficult statistically to accrue any type of wealth. So if you can, you want someone who can support you on that path. Alanna, you ain't gonna beat it, but go ahead, try.
Okay. So Tena gave us the money rundown. Alanna, what you got?
Well, that was
opposing
cute.
side.
I didn't pull any statistics because I knew my comrade Tena would work for me. So I appreciate the background that you pulled.
I like it.
So I just have a few points to make in regards to this. No, I do not believe that finances is the one determining factor for being equally yoked. That's not the case. And I'm saying this because there are plenty of factors that go into being equally yoked. However, for the sake of this debate, I'm talking about finances. Okay. So your paycheck, whether you're the breadwinner or your significant other is the breadwinner, that is not what makes that determination of being equally yoked. So once you're married, because this dating, the ultimate goal is to get married, right? So once you are married and you are now sharing finances, this is one household, okay? And if you can't manage your money, I don't care how much money you make. If you can't manage your money, and I can, that's not equally yoked, is it not?
Amen.
Okay. All right. Continuing on. Debt. I know you mentioned how much people carry in debt. Now, what if we are the black sheep? What if my household is the black sheep where one person does not carry debt at all and the other one does? However, that person who is carrying the debt is the breadwinner of the household. Are we equally yoked? I think not, because all the money is now going towards the debt that needs to be paid. Am I right or am I right? Okay, thank you very much. Now, my last point I'm going to make on no, this is not a determining factor for being equally yoked is household contributions. Okay, and I'm going to use this example because once you first live together, then get married, then make babies, okay, there is more to being equally yoked than just bringing home money, okay? The household has got to be kept up, the babies have got to be tended to, everybody got to eat. So who cooking dinner? Who's sweeping up the crumbs from the children who can't keep the food on the table? Okay. So all these things, household contributions, you know what I mean? That goes into it as well. If I make all the money, but I'm not contributing to the household, what does that mean? What does my paycheck have to do with taking care of home? Okay. All right. So in conclusion, I stand by my point that salary, paycheck, finances on your own does not mean that you will be equally yoked. It does not make a functioning household.
Well, all right. So Alanna came back with some points here, and she says it is not just about the dollar bill. Tena, my man, my girl, what you got? What you got to say?
The funny thing about this is we started this podcast because we like to argue. So I know how Alanna likes to argue, and she knew I was going to come with the facts, and I knew she was going to argue with the emotions. So I had already prepared for that. Okay.
It's your turn again, though. What you got?
So I did not prepare my rebuttal, obviously, because I didn't know what she was going to say. But let me just hit a few points. I'm going to hit one of her points, and I'm going to reiterate one of my points. With basically the home contribution thing, we both recently just had. Then I just screwed it up.
No, keep going. We both recently
just had kids, right? I am in love with this little girl. I would love to stay home until I got all my kids into kindergarten, and then once they're in school, go back to work. But I can't afford to do that. That's not an option for me, because in order for me to contribute in that way, I would have to my partner would have to make more money. Okay. Conversely, to get your kids in school, some people stay at home because they don't make enough money to do daycare, right? So it's just like you're still making these decisions around your finances. And this is getting me back to, depending on what lifestyle you want, you need to have the finances to be able to do that. Okay. And then my other thing is, I'm still going back to my points because honestly, I feel like Alanna didn't review them, which is, it's hard. It is so hard and intentional. Like we are all educated women with, most of y'all have multiple degrees. I don't, but that's okay. You guys are not the normal. You have worked really hard to statistically break through. And maybe you guys did not recognize that you represent the top 5 percentile. I'm sure that you guys had no idea because it doesn't feel like you made it that far. But when you put that in perspective, it's just like y'all have worked your ass off to get here. Okay. And then if you marry somebody who cannot allow you to maintain your lifestyle, you're going to have to put in even more work to get yourself back where you are today. So it's just like, why marry somebody to have to put in more work to maintain your current lifestyle? I want to marry somebody who is going to enhance or at least help me maintain my lifestyle with the number of kids that I want to have. So it's like, no matter how you feel about it, like at the end of the day, these are real life things. And in real life, the majority of America is struggling to make it, per the statistics provided in previous conversation. Period.
Right. So Tena said, Tena's hitting back. She's saying, bump all of that. We trying to live these lives. Alanna, this is it. Before we get into this discussion, what you got?
First of all,
Not first of all.
It's the
you can say first of all if you want to.
So I'll say it again. First of all, okay, my points were very much valid because yes, these statistics are real. However, I'm not looking at statistics when I'm looking at my significant other. I'm looking at what you're bringing to the table and what you can contribute to this table. Okay. So that means that not only is your salary a factor in determining whether we'll be equally yoked, but your drive, your respect, you not being lazy, and your spending. Because one, I mean, if I now am in this situation where I have children, okay, we all know whether you have a child or not, children are expensive. Before you even have to consider childcare, them first 3 months when you home on maternity leave, you still got to feed them if you're not breastfeeding, so formula. You still got to change them diapers on average 10 times a day. And I'm saying average because there are some times that they are more than 10 times a day.
Might have a blowout.
So diapers is high as hell, okay? And they ain't going down. That price is not going down at all. So waking up in the middle of the night to feed and change that baby when they are crying at 3, 4, and 5 o'clock in the morning, okay? Then you need someone who is going to step up and be there to help contribute to the work that needs to be done to maintain this relationship, right? And I'm just using babies as an example because like Tena said, we just dropped the load. So, you know, we have that idea on the top of our minds, okay? But me being equally yoked, you just going to work and coming home and bringing home a check is not going to maintain this equal yokedom that we are discussing.
Equal yokedom.
Equal yokedom. Yes, write it down in your dictionary. Okay. So in order to enhance and maintain this lifestyle that I was living pre-husband, pre-boyfriend, pre-baby, whatever the situation may be, I need you to bring more than just your check. Okay. I'm not saying stay at home and be a bum when I'm only making $50K and then we got to take care of a household with a baby and all that. But what I'm saying is what you're bringing to the table and what I'm bringing to the table is more than just a check. And I'm done.
Alex, I'm so sorry. I know only one rebuttal, but I just want to say that Alanna said it's more about what you bring to the table. And I would just like to say, but what table you eating on? Because you had to pay for that too.
Well, Well. Got a little spicy.
That's it for me.
Spicy. So Tena has come with the facts. She's come with the statistics, and she has told us it's them dollar bills. We high dollar ladies, and we got a lifestyle. But then Alanna said, "Hey, babies cost, but also what are you bringing to the table other than a paycheck? Because that ain't it." So up next, me and the rest of the ladies, we're gonna discuss what we just heard, and we're gonna come up with our own conclusions and talk about how we think these ladies did. Stay tuned. I'm ready when you are, Lindsey.
Oh, it's already recorded.
Good job. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Let's roll.
All right, guys, we are back. And now we are going to hear from the rest of the crew. What do we feel about that debate? So we're going to start with Tena's side, the affirmative. And she argued that salary is an important factor when you're talking about whether we're equally yoked. So Lindsey, what did you think? Do you agree?
So, before I give my opinion, I really would like for Tena to go back to the biblical, spiritual sense of what is the meaning of yoke. I would like for her to repeat that, and then I'll follow up with my feelings.
Give us that definition again, Tena. It was a good one.
Thank you, Lindsey. Unfortunately, I cannot go back to Google to give you a better definition.
Matthew 11, verse 30. It's Matthew 11, verse 30.
It's not the one I'm talking about. Thank you. It's 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14. So that one, that is where people talk about relationships. So that is where it says, do not be yoked together with unbelievers. That's where people get this idea of yoked in relationships. I believe what Tianny's talking about is where it says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light.
Yes.
But my point is, what is the definition of a yoke? The yoke is, imagine back in old time farming where you had two ox, right? And they probably had a wooden thing across them and then they're tilling the soil. That is a yoke. So when Jesus says in Matthew, like Tianny was saying, my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. He's basically saying, I'm not trying to overwork you. If you let me put my yoke on you, if you let me control you, if you let me steer your life, it will be easy. So I was making the parallel with the yoke in the relationship is you want to have equal work. You want to have equal burden. So it's like, you don't want to put a yoke on an ox and a chicken, right? You want to put a yoke on an ox and a donkey,
but yeah, same thing.
Yes.
Okay. Does that help you, Lindsey?
I don't believe that's what she said in the beginning, but yes,
That's what she said.
That's what I said.
But well, I think you gave like more of an explanation. I know that you repeated the scripture, but whatever. So am I only talking about Tena, or am I talking about both sides?
We're just talking about how you felt about Tena's argument right now.
Okay, so for me, I agree with Tena. And we're not voting yet. I'm just saying what she said. First of all, the statistics were very shocking because I feel like a poor woman every day. And I'm in the top 5% or 10%, correct me if I'm wrong, as an African American with a degree. And to even get that other step, to even probably be in that percent, I had to go back to school. I'm an educator, I've told y'all already. So to even get in that percent, I had to go back to school and become more into that. But for me, I do have a lifestyle that I like to live. And I do want somebody who can help me maintain that lifestyle because I like to travel. And honestly, just growing up, I like to do what I want to do. If I want this bag, if I want to go out to eat with my friends, if I want to travel and just be like, all right, I'm out, I want to be able to do that. Now, when you're, this is going to the side. When you're not able to do those things and you do become in a relationship, I am not married, I'm single. In case anybody wants when you do get with somebody who cannot do those same things, it does become a burden. And not necessarily a burden where you are feeling, well, you can become to feel kind of like, what the hell? But it becomes a burden because then you can no longer really do what you want to do because you are now supporting somebody, helping them become whoever it is that they're wanting to be or want to do. And that's okay. But I'm still going to want to do what I want to do and live the lifestyle that I've chosen to live. So the points Tena made were great. The statistics, awesome.
Okay. Paige, how did you feel about Tena's argument? What do you think?
I too feel like a poor woman. So to be in the top, whatever percentage, I need that.
God bless.
I need that STEMI.
Can we get
so
can we get the statistics for the male at a later date?
At a later date.
Do you want me to pull them up right now?
Well,
if you want, but
I'll say
you don't want to hear those numbers. You do not want to hear those numbers.
Wow. Did we really gonna be popo? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I like to do what I want to do when I want to do it. So if me and somebody else decide to partner together and you're now bringing me backwards because I have to supplement so much for us to either maintain or even just make do, this ain't gonna work, baby. You have to go with God because I cannot. I cannot.
Come on, Paige.
I cannot.
Go with God.
Go with God because I cannot.
Oh no. Okay. Paige said you gotta go with God, boo boo. Tianny, what did you feel? What did you think?
So unlike the rest of them, I'm not shocked by the stats, but that's also because I've looked at something like that before. I teach math, and so I have the students, do lifestyle projects. What type of life do you want to live? Like, how much money you want to make? How much money do you think is a lot of money? And because I've done that project so many times, I'm not shocked. I also look at it from a stance of education. How many people did you go to high school with, as opposed to how many of those people actually went to college, as opposed to how many of those people actually finished, as opposed to how many of those people actually went and got like a job that uses their college degree? Like, none of those stats shocked me at all. I'm not saying I know where I stand amongst people, but I knew I was up there. You know what I'm saying? Also, I think we're glossing over a very big fact, and it's something that everybody is not looking at. Your paycheck is not forever. Anything can happen. This pandemic has showed a lot of people. You used to be a provider, but guess what? Not no more. Now what? You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all got to open your eyes. That paycheck might not be forever. Your industry might be automated. You a truck driver. Tesla said, not no more. Now what?
Right.
We yes, it is important to be financial, but you have to look beyond that because the world is changing. Before this pandemic, I genuinely thought that, maybe education would be automated. But now that I know we are more or less not necessarily teachers, but, big ups to, we're big babysitters. It is what it is. We've come to know that we are big babysitters. And so now we know that, everybody don't take education seriously. But that's something you can't automate. Everybody can't say that. Everybody can't say that their industry. So you might love dude and dude might be great, but he might work in an industry that is about to be automated. Now what? Because all of that financial stability is done, is gone. He needs to have more than that to bring to the table. So I just wanted to put that out there because we just seem to all be overlooking that.
That's big facts too. That's big facts.
Yeah, I mean, Alanna's doing all of this. It sounds like it goes with her point.
Well, I mean,
we were discussing Alanna's point, so I didn't want to go to Alanna's point, but when we get there, I got you too.
Yes.
As we're talking, sorry, Alex, to cut you off, but as we're talking, what childhood game I'm thinking about in my head? MASH. I don't know if y'all remember playing MASH, but it was like in an apartment.
Shack or a house.
Or shack or house.
And
when you had to put down your 3 minutes, you didn't choose Joey in your class. You didn't choose Brian who was sitting by you. You was like, Usher, Lil Fizz and Omarion. Why? Because
because they was beautiful, not because they had money. It was because they
I
were
was
beautiful.
thinking about the money.
It was both. It was both.
Where the money
Where the
resides.
money
I had no
resides.
idea how much money those people made.
Where the money resides.
It was more than I had.
And that's on Mary Had Little Lamb. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so Christy, I'm really interested in your perspective because you are one of the, aside from our debaters, you are married. So I'm really interested on your perspective on this topic. Do you agree with Tena that salary is a factor or an important factor in being equally yoked?
So
no pressure.
No pressure at all. First, I want big ups Tena for bringing out those stats, right? So I was one that I figured I was at least maybe average, just above, but coming fresh out of school, like I didn't think I was in that top of the percentile. And then your statement about lifestyle and maintaining lifestyle, and you know, a lot of us lived alone, at least before getting married. So we had our single paycheck. We have, you know, our single activities that we like to do, and we were able to afford those things. Now we're talking about bringing a second mouth, a second person, like into the household. So there was a lot of, I was alone, living by myself for at least like 5 years or so. That's a long time to maintain habits for yourself, spending habits, you know, doing the dinners with friends, doing the trips with friends before thinking about like, oh, there's a second person now. I will say when we get to Alanna's, I'll go further there. Just because of my personal experience where me and my husband's salaries has actually switched. So that's why I do feel more on the, you know, there's other things outside of salary. Salary is not the top anymore. In the beginning, I was making more as far as like a 9-to-5, like a corporate job. I was making more.
Okay, be
and now now we switch industries, and so now he's actually making more. So then we have to think about, okay, drive, and what else are we bringing to the table? So for instance, he does a lot of freelance. He's always been the person that does like 10 things at one time, and like some of those are creative and still in thinking process, and at least 3 of them are also other sources of income. So in that sense, I would kind of disagree with the point that Tena was arguing today. Just the fact that I have had that switch in salary and what we're bringing to the table, and had to take a humble seat down, right? when that switch. So I do feel like there's more than just salary when we talk about being equally yoked.
Okay. So before we switch to Alanna's perspective, because I'm going to start with you, Christy, on it. Does anyone have anything else to say about Tena's? I guess I'll save my commentary to the end.
Does anybody else want to explain why I won that argument, or are we good?
Well, we didn't say you won that.
I ain't heard nobody vote.
We just say how we feel.
Okay. So Christy, we're going to switch over to Alanna. So Alanna argued that salary is not a necessary factor when we're looking at being equally yoked. And you kind of started to touch on this. Mm-hmm. So what is your perspective as far as Alanna's argument?
I do agree that there's other things in the household, and Alanna.
That was for Tena. Like, sis, where'd you go?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm back.
I do agree that there are other aspects within the household that can make us equally yoked or not. So for one, Alanna mentioned debt. So if you're making more, but then you're also spending more on getting rid of that debt, then we're almost equal right there. And then second is drive, 1. So let's say you're not making the most at this time, but I just need to see that drive, that like you're not comfortable, you know, you're not complacent in this spot. Like you do strive to, you know, be doing more so that we can, you know, live a comfortable lifestyle. The other thing that I'm big on is stuff in the house. And that's one thing that we've had to work on, and just had discussions about. Like, I don't want to be the 1950s version of, you know, a wife. I don't want to be the only one cooking. I don't mind, just because that's personally something that I like to do, and that's part of my love language, if you will. But when it comes to cleaning, so like cleaning dishes, cleaning the rooms, the bathroom, stuff like that, like I don't want to be the only one doing that. And especially when I was the one making more, like to exhaust yourself during the week and then be responsible for all of the housework and everything. And when you come home, like it's taxing. So there has to be an equal role there, like with maintaining the household. And for instance, children. So I don't have yet, but just thinking about that, like I don't want to be the only one that cares about tending to, you know, our child. Like even for bonding purposes, it was good for both parents to be very active in the care of your child. So that's where I side with Alanna on the emotional aspect, that there is more than just money. There's other aspects that we bring to the table that could make us equal partners.
All right. She said it's not all about the dollar. Tianny, do you have something to add as far as Alanna's point? I think you did.
You already know it. So Tena had the stats, and she had the Bible scriptures. And so, you know, she had me, but I've lived Alanna's points. I have seen households where a man is only a provider. That will not work for me. Now, there's somebody out there in the world that's more than just, I just want to be taken care of, but that's not going to work for me. I've seen situations where, you know, one partner just mismanages the money for whatever reason. And that is when you you have to realize that the money alone cannot possibly be it. And it also takes into the fact of, yes, you have this salary, but do you know how to invest? Yes, you have this salary, but can you manage your finances? Yes, you have this salary, but can you manage your debt? My debt is only student loans. And like the internet said, that's between Biden and God, because I don't care anymore. All right. So like you and your debt, you need to figure it out, to be quite honest, because it's not my debt. It's just not. And you know, I've seen too many relationships where even if the finances started off one way, like Chrissy said, and then changed, now y'all can't shake back because it's an argument every night about how to spend the little you do have. So if I'm picking somebody based on salary alone, that's not secure at all. I'm still not on solid ground. So you may as well go beyond that, is my point.
Okay. Paycheck.
So as much as I'd like to say salary is important, if we're just talking about money alone, I need to know that you are able to save. I need to know that you are able to spend properly. I need to know that you're able to invest properly. And it, not saying that I need you to be some like crazy hedge funder, but you know, are you putting your money in the right place?
Do you have a 401k?
Do you have a 401k? Do you have
an IRA? Okay.
Something.
Let's talk about that.
Retirement.
So, you know, if somebody makes half of what I make, for easy math, let's say I make 100, he makes 50. 50 is not a terrible salary. And if you're able to allocate your money to the right things, if you're paying down your student loan debt, if you are contributing to your retirement fund, if you are making sure that you're saving outside of the retirement fund and making sure that all of your bills are paid on time, we have no issue as long as I can still go to Cancun.
There you go.
Okay.
Maldives, Greece, and
so for me, yes, I definitely see what Alanna's talking about. It's more than just salary alone. You need to be able to contribute long term. And I'm not a fan of the term generational wealth, but I do believe in making sure that, you know, your future is taken care of. And as long as we're able to work towards that goal, your salary is not that important.
Lindsey, final thoughts.
So for me, and just from experience, like I said, I really want to pick both sides, but I know we cannot do that, and we're not picking right now.
Mm-hmm.
But even just personally, I've been around in a relationship where I saw potential because they carried everything else besides the salary. And which is why I would love to hear a man's point of view, because I was okay with it, but the man was not okay. And so
that's a conversation. Baby.
And so I was like, you are amazing. You cook, you clean, you got my car, you go grocery shopping. Like, he just did so much, but he was not comfortable with me basically being the person who was the breadwinner, or who he was like, I know you like this type of stuff. I can't give you that right now. So it was that's why I agree with both, but I would really love to hear a man's perspective. And for me, you have to be a solid man within yourself.
Yes.
In order to know that it is okay for her to be the breadwinner, because just like Christy said, it can easily switch, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what I said, potential, we can see the potential, but that person may be like, I'm not where I need to be in order to make this relationship work, because whatever was said a long time ago, the man has to be the breadwinner. And of course, we know currently women, especially black women are the head of the household, and it's okay. Know that it's okay. I support you in whatever you do. You may have a 9 to 5, but you may want to be an entrepreneur. Okay, so do the 9 to 5 shit, and what we about to do together so that we make sure whatever dream you have becomes a reality, so that eventually you can become the breadwinner. And I feel like for me, it's an easy answer, but for whoever you're going to be with, if they're like, not saying that every man's not a man, but like certain men who still have like that old South mentality where like, I have to be the person who takes care of everything, it just sometimes don't work. So I definitely see both sides of the argument for myself. But if the other person I feel like does not, then it's not going to work out.
No, that's super real.
Yeah,
that's super real. Okay, so before we get the perspectives of our debaters and myself, let's do a vote. Now, just a reminder, we're voting based off of their arguments. How well do they support their argument? Not whether you agree with what they said. How well do they support their argument? So let's toss it up. Tianny, who you got?
I am going to vote for Alanna.
Okay.
Though I am a numbers type of girl and definitely a Bible type of girl,
amen.
That reality is something else, boy. That reality, your past, it's there. It is there. It's something to learn from. So I'm going Alanna.
All right, that's a point for Alanna. Christy, who you got? Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous.
We'll still be your friend.
Huh?
I said, we'll still be your friend.
We'll still be your
Look
friend.
at Tena
Be
though.
for yourself, Alanna.
We don't know.
Now
Tena
we
chose
know.
violence today, so I
She
can't.
did. She chose violence since early this morning. So.
Just don't worry about that.
And it definitely had me in the beginning. One, we're speaking about the yoke and just the plain definition of it. If I'm pulling two animals together, they need to be equally matched. So there was that, as well as the lifestyle maintenance you were mentioning, and even starting families and being able to take care of that, and having salaries matched so that it'll be basically an easier load, if you will. And then Alanna maybe switched it for me with bringing in things like household contributing and also debt. So if you're making a lot and it just cancels itself out because you're in this much debt, like, we're still not equally yoked when it comes to salary. So I think I'm gonna have to go with Alanna. Sorry.
That's two for Miss Alanna Boo. Lindsey, who you got?
Unmute.
Okay, so sorry, I had to mute y'all because I got a little furry friend back here.
Hey, Marley.
I'm gonna have to go with Tena, and I'm going to go with Tena because I believe that her point actually is for both sides of the argument.
Ooh.
When she said you want to make sure that the person, whatever that bar is holding those two ox together, or chickens or donkeys, whatever y'all said, that is, you have to have some type of balance. And for me, balance is not just money. It's everything that we have discussed this entire conversation. And so that's the reason I'm going to go with Tena, because I just like how she explained the whole piece. And I think for me, I agree with both sides. And guess what? I'm the bar in the middle with the balance.
Ooh, okay, bar in the middle. Miss Paige. Make this a little interesting. We got two for Alanna, one for Tena.
Okay.
That means Alex has to be the tiebreaker. Is that what we're saying?
If it is a tie. If it is a tie.
Depending.
I will be the tiebreaker.
You jump in the gut.
Paige.
Okay, so this was difficult. I love the Bible verses. I love the data. Knowing how high up we are, or like how unique us educated Black women are. Dang, I need to step my dating game up.
No more Bumble?
No more Bumble.
As I'm looking at these outside.
But we will take a sponsorship. So. Continue.
However, when you look at, is salary a thing that should be considered when being equally yoked? And I'm looking at everything that it should be considered to be equally yoked. For me, I consider, are you family oriented? Are you a follower of Christ? Are you, patient, loving, kind, and things like that?
You better put your profile out there.
He's giving me the Bible verse again, right?
Let him know what you're looking for, boo.
Patient, loving, kind.
At its_Piggott on Instagram. Oh my God. I'm accepting DMs.
Link in the bio. Link in the bio.
Link in the bio.
Accepting applications for the summer.
Yeah.
Hello.
No, we're having a hot girl summer. Forget that. No, I'm just kidding.
Fall 2021.
I will have
Fall
my vaccine by June. Okay. I do feel like, it's so hard because I want to say it is important, but it's not.
But that's not what you're voting on.
Okay. No. So no.
Right.
Argument.
Yes.
It is not everything. And so with that said, I'm going to have to go with Alanna, because even salary is a small portion of finance, which is a huge part of being equally yoked. Yes. So do you know how to handle your salary? So with that said, I'm gonna go with Alanna.
And with that tallied up, Alanna is our ISLA Debates winner. And no whoop ass for Alanna today.
She's the one with the net.
Here we go.
All right, so we're back. Now, before I jump in to check back in with my debaters, we're gonna get their real viewpoints to see how they actually feel. I just wanted to get my viewpoint real quick. So, like a lot of you all, I'm kind of in the middle too. But I think the biggest thing is that it becomes a life balance for me. I think salary from a numerical standpoint is not necessarily the big factor, but like Alanna and a lot of people said, it's how you manage that money. You can make $100,000 and have no idea how to spend that money. And it's like you made $50,000. And I've learned that just from life, because I've gone from a place where I wasn't that top tier to now where I'm a resident, I make a lot less money. But if you can't manage money at either state, then it doesn't matter how much you make, you can't manage it. Also to that, in a relationship, it's not just money. There's a lot of other factors that goes with that. So I think the real big thing is that it's not so much salary is the main criteria, but I do think that it should be more of just a financial education, and your financial like health is kind of the real thing that we're looking at. How do you manage money? What's your history with money? There are people who grew up poor and had this like kind of toxic relationship with money where they don't want to spend it because they're so afraid they're going to lose it. But also to that, people who you are the breadwinner. And I get really iffy with that whole breadwinner title, because it's like, yes, you may make more money in that relationship, but does that necessarily mean that you run this house? No. So if we're supposed to be in this in a partnership, even though you may contribute more money, I don't necessarily mean that means that your vote is supreme. And I think sometimes that's kind of what it becomes. And so that when you had those instances of where the finances may switch, and now maybe you're the breadwinner and he's not, you have a man who's like, well, I don't know my role anymore. Well, it's the same as it was before. It's just that the numbers are a little different, you know? And so I think that's, like Lindsey said, that's a conversation. You kind of have to have those conversations with somebody from the beginning about how do you feel about money? You know, how do you feel about your role in this relationship? How do you feel about us as equals? And, you know, and I think that's the big thing with the equally yoked. Do we see each other as equals? So if we're supposed to be balancing each other, do you see me as your partner? Someone who can carry the load as you would? And do I see you as someone who's carrying the load? So I think it's a deeper conversation than just money. All right. That's my 2-3 cents.
I like that.
Miss Tena, I feel like you have so much to say, my love.
I do.
Tell us how you really feel, girl. Tell us how you really feel.
Okay. First, let's discuss why I was robbed. I know I'm being I genuinely feel like, based on how people spoke before they voted, it was like, I agree with Tena's argument, but I feel like blah, blah, blah. In which case, we're not voting on the debaters. I feel like the vote was driven by how people feel, but that's just me being bitter. I've been trolling all week. I'm still gonna troll right now, so I'm trolling, but that's how I feel. I feel like everybody started off with, Tena's debate was great, but this is how I feel. So then in that case, we're not voting on the debate.
She doesn't like butts, guys. She doesn't like butts.
But how do I feel? I honestly feel like salary is not everything. And the reason why is because I've been with my husband for 13 years. We've been married for 5 years in July. And thank y'all. But the things that have challenged our relationship the most is not finances. It is how we treat each other. It's how we work together. And I still am going to go back to that equally yoked. Being equally yoked has much more to do with how you work together and not the work power that you bring. Okay?
So, I wish I had that quote when I was
right. I'm gonna give it to you again because I just made that up. It's how you work together. It's not your work power. And so John and I are learning, you know, with the kid, we are relearning how to work together to support each other, because the ways I need to be supported are drastically different than before we had a kid, and the ways he needs to be supported is different. So it's like, sure, we had the same work power, we had the same tools, but we're having to use them differently now that we have a kid. So I actually don't agree with my argument, but the one thing I would say is that I almost convinced myself with my argument when I did the research, because the example with Christy switching incomes, and then Paige said, just for simple math, we're going to do 150. You guys are bringing these examples, and based on the stats I told you, this is still not normal America. Like, Christy, I don't know what you make, but I do know that both you and your husband are educated. I know that you have a degree. I know that you guys have a certain lifestyle that might, I don't know if it's luxurious, but it's like I said, the median income in the US is, for full-time employees, $38,000, which means that half of America is below that point and working full-time. And it's easy to say, are we going to make 100,000 or 150,000 in Paige's example? But when you're talking about, are we going to make 40,000 together as a household or 30,000 together as a household, which the numbers I'm showing is a real choice for a lot of people, I think that the idea of switching careers and flip-flopping whose income is not an option for a lot of America. And I didn't quite realize that. Like, it's easy to flip-flop incomes when you guys are on either side of 60K, either side of 70K. You might not even think about quitting your job and, like Alex did, and getting into a new field if you're starting at 30K and you have kids and a family. Like, these are privileged choices, and I didn't have that perspective before now. So that almost convinced me that income should be equally yoked. But again, just like everybody said, based on my personal experience, it's how you work together is the most important thing.
I have a question in regards to what your argument was.
Girl, it's blurred.
It's blurred out.
Say, what are we doing here?
Since you want to be fancy. I think you need to find a Sharpie too.
I said what I said.
I said what I said.
Oh yeah, teacher eyes, baby. I can read that.
Oh, okay. I have a question. So in regards to what your argument was, so when you were talking about like what, the median salary is and, how much you need to survive and all these things, and we've already established that, we are educated women, so, we kind of don't fall in that median category. So then my question would be, okay, let's say you have two people who are just, regular degular folks. I don't know, no shade, but, and they both make, let's say $35,000 or whatever. So in the context of this argument where their salaries are similar, would they be equally yoked? Because they're making, similar pay. I mean, even though, because the world is set up to where they still might be struggling, they're in the context of this argument, they're on the same, playing field as far as their money goes. So would they be equally yoked? Because if not, then it's like, well, who are they supposed to be with? Because we're saying they're not equally yoked to somebody making 70K, because they don't make enough. So I guess that's where it gets to me with the whole salary. Like, just because you don't make 35,000, and some industries just don't. Like, some industries you just don't make that kind of money.
Yeah.
I
think Alex, the stats that I'm showing, so I showed that the median household income, so two people, is 68K. So right. In that case, yeah, there are a bunch of people who are both making 30K living together. I think your question is, are they equally yoked? And it's like, the data is telling us that's the majority of America.
So is that a yes?
But the point
it goes back to lifestyle.
Whether if we, whatever the salary may be, if we both broke and we can't manage our money, I don't care how much we make, we both gonna be combating each other because we still broke and we still can't pay bills and we still incurring more debt. You know what I mean? Like, and we still can't buy Pampers for my crying child. Like, regardless of my income, whether we both at 100, both at 50, both at 15, we're still going to have these issues in the household, regardless of how much money is coming in. That was my point that I was trying to make. Like, regardless of the paycheck on either side of the fence. You know what I mean? We need to be equally yoked in more than just money.
And I agree with you. And that's why I said it's how you work together. Like that is the that has to come before everything. Like if you guys cannot work together, then the rest is irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. So when y'all started throwing out salaries and stuff, and I don't want to sound like I'm a gold digger enough, but
I ain't messing with no bro. Sorry.
I ain't messing with no bro nigga. But the thing is, to me, when you start talking about salaries, your mindset is different altogether. And so I'm not saying you have to make the same amount as me, but I think when it's equally, like, even if you make less, your mindset still has to be the same as mine.
That's
and
fair.
So if you're making $15,000 and you riding around on the passenger side with your homie, I can't really take you seriously and have a serious relationship because we don't even got the same mindset. That's so fair. Like at some point salary does come into play just because even educational background comes into play. Like, and that's not to say there are rich entrepreneurs who did not go to school, but their mindset is on a totally different playing field than somebody who has a job and is okay with making. I don't know. I don't want to sound like I'm just.
No, I get what you're saying. Tianny, and then I want to jump to Alanna.
I think the key word here is salaried. You are now comparing salaried people to hourly people, and that's two completely different arguments.
So now we're talking about income.
Yeah, okay, even still, the question was salary because hourly people don't have health insurance. So now you got a whole nother problem. Hourly people don't have X, Y, and Z that salary people.
That's not true.
Well, hourly people do.
Most hourly people do not have health insurance. Like
I work for Marriott.
And even then, it's still a different lifestyle because if our kid has something that pops up last minute and you're hourly, you cannot up and go. You cannot up and leave. You can't call out. It's a different lifestyle altogether.
I'm hourly now. I'm not salaried anymore.
When I was at Discover, I was hourly. And
I'm hourly
did have
too.
healthcare, and I did have dental.
Well, no, that's not true. I'm salaried.
But I'm not talking about healthcare and dental. And what I can say is even though you were hourly, your mindset is still different because you knew that everybody has to go to college. But I know y'all went to college. I know that your mindset is just different than somebody.
It's your drive.
Who grew up in a household where everybody hourly, everybody trying to make it to the next paycheck, everybody trying to like I don't know how to explain it because I don't want to degrade people.
I think my point was more along the lines of the salary people think about investments more than the hourly people. Salary people think about retirement more than an hourly person. So once you bring hourly people into it, it does become a different argument. Again, like Lindsey's saying, I ain't down to nobody. I grew up poor. I didn't realize I was poor till I went to Howard, but shout out to all of y'all. But I didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like,
not me.
Anywho.
But yeah, it's a different conversation when you go from, salary to hourly is all I was saying.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Alanna, I did just want to get your perspective as far as your argument, what is your actual take on the conversation?
I'm new.
Do you agree with your?
I'm not new to this. I'm true to this.
So you just a thug, and that's what it is.
Nah, I agree with my argument, and I realized as I was formulating these thoughts at about 12 p.m. that
that's when I did mine.
She's been threatening you all week.
To the listeners, it's not even 3.
Not. No, it's 4:00, Paige.
It's 4:15.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So, I formulated these thoughts, but I backed my thoughts with real life examples. You feel me? Like things that I was thinking about, like either through my own personal experience or somebody close to me, parents uncle, aunt, what have you, you know what I mean? Like knowing what they have gone through, like F that, like just because, and I'm using male as the breadwinner just because of the fact that that's what my examples were, but not saying, you know, because Black women is making the money, okay? We are where the money resides. So what I'm saying,
say it again. Can you say it one more time?
Black women are where the money reside, and that's how Mary had a little in. So what I'm saying is, from the examples though that I was thinking about, I mean, the males were the breadwinner, but the females in the relationship were doing everything else, and that shit ain't it. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this is not what's gonna happen in my household. You know what I mean? And me and my husband have had conversations about this time and time again, because like we cannot fall into that cycle. We will not be together falling into that cycle, because I cannot mentally be in that space. I can't be bringing home money, whether I'm the breadwinner or not. I'm still taking my behind to work every day, regardless of what my check is, regardless of whether I'm salary, hourly, whether I got benefits or not. I'm going to work every day just like you are. So yes, we are putting in the same amount of work. And then for us to come home and I am the only one maintaining the household, that's not okay. You know what I mean? Like there is more to just a 9 to 5 or whatever. So I think that's where I stood, and that was my
Tenacious T go. Oh, I see.
That was my case, you know.
So can I get to what Lindsey said about feeling bad about this money and the mindset for this money? You shouldn't feel bad, because there was 2 things I was trying to get with the stats. One thing was that the majority of America does not have a lot of money. And like that needs to be a consideration. And these things that we're talking about with switching careers, these are privileged things. But then the other thing that I wanted to just point out with the Black woman being at 2% if you make above 100K, or I had 14% if you make above 75K, is it's hard. It is hard to make that amount of money. It takes a certain mindset to break through all of these barriers. And, you know, we are used to, you know, being strategic. I'm not saying we're working harder, but to break through to these salary incomes, you have to be strategic about getting there, about what education you want to have, about what career field you want to have. And so it sometimes, it is a consideration for someone who had the strategy to get there. And it's fair for you to want someone who has that similar strategizing mindset, because it's not always just a matter of working hard. I don't work harder than someone just because I make more money. I just strategize to make money. So I think it boils down to like equally yoked is a personal preference, right? So at the end of the day, I actually agree with Alanna's perspective, but I'm commenting on Lindsey because Lindsey had this like apprehension, like, I don't want to feel like a gold digger. It's like, those weren't your words, but you didn't want to be focused on money. And it's like, it's not that you're focused on money. It's just that you're recognizing how hard it was to get to where you are, and that you want someone with an equally, with an equal strategic mindset.
And for me,
and that's fair.
But even after that, it's not even that. And I'm speaking on a previous serious relationship I had. It wasn't necessary. I didn't care what he made. This nigga worked odd ass jobs for 2 years. We was good, but he wasn't good with the situation. So at the end of the day, as a woman, and that's what this word potential come up, and you know, we be like, we sick of dating potential. I done brought up too many niggas.
Listen.
Degrees. I done helped you get this job where you now are salary, you now have benefits. And at the end of the day, you're still trying to work on yourself and saying that you have a mindset of what equally yoked is. But then I guess that goes back to when you're dating, especially now being old. Not old, but those are conversations I'm assuming you want to have up front.
Yeah.
With like you're old. Conversations you want to have up front, like, I don't care about the money. But if you care about the money, then clearly that's not going to work out for you.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
And
people have mixed feelings about Steve Harvey, but he and a lot of other men made the point that a man will not want to settle down with anybody until he's okay with himself.
Mm-hmm.
And sadly, a lot of men believe that money will fix their trauma. Right. And that's, we all know that's not the case, but men will not commit to you or anyone until they feel like they're in a place where they can provide a certain type of life for you. And this is just men I know. I'm sure men y'all know, like, it doesn't matter how much they like going to the dude you talking about. Like, none of what you said mattered because it was never about you. It was always about him. He needed to be what he needed to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that, again, had nothing to do with you. It was just like, I have this idea of myself. And until I reach this idea of myself, then I'm not worthy of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
A relationship, you know,
For some men.
kids.
And going along with Tianny's point about, I guess, in a way that's like reaching a man's purpose, I think that it's important to note that we are 7 women that are essentially in STEM. So we are probably gonna make a lot more money than a lot of people, as Tina pointed out, right? And so I think that as long as a man has a career that he's passionate about and it's looked at as a career and not an odd job that he might lose tomorrow, and now we're wondering, where are we going to live? How are we going to feed ourselves? What's going to go, like, what's next? I think that most women would not care, or most people wouldn't care, you know, about somebody's salary. It's like, are you passionate about your career and what you're doing?
And the support. So going back to just to emphasize or further elaborate on the switch, right? For me and it also happened at a time just before he got the job that he has now. So it became more of a consideration and a discussion because it was temp. So his could be gone tomorrow. They could say we don't need this one anymore. And I'm taking the leap to making like half or less than half of what I was making at the time. So there's that, those discussions that need to be had, as well as the faith in each other that it'll work itself out type of thing. So like, faith, one that Paige mentioned, whatever it may be in, right? And then just the support within one another, and the having those conversations, and yeah.
Baby, communication will make or break any relationship, regardless of money, regardless of any other thing else. Like, not being able to communicate with your significant other and express how you feeling. What y'all laughing at?
Lindsey, keep going. Keep going.
She know what she did.
Oh, when I said regardless of
No, keep going.
Whatever. So all I'm saying is being able to communicate with your significant other and know, one, if it's a situation where they are making all this money, but they are miserable at their job and they just want to quit, you know what I mean? And start a new career, or quit and do whatever the hell they feel like, drive across country because that's always been a passion of theirs. Like, that type of thing needs to be talked about. You can no longer, and I'm speaking on marriage, I'm not speaking on boyfriend, girlfriend, you know what I mean? But that type of thing cannot be a solo decision. That type of thing cannot be, well, I just feel like, so this is what I'm going to do. You know how you now have someone else to consider, and you know their feelings, how they would want to handle a situation. You now have that to consider. So I mean, when you're looking at this, when I was looking at this situation, I was thinking more so like, in a marriage and not just necessarily just dating, because these are things I'm looking at while I'm dating you. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to make sure. So what do you think about this? What would you do in this situation? I was giving my husband, I was giving him hypothetical situations left and right.
Can you write some of those down? So
interview questions.
I really was, because I'd be like, or I'd see something that I was watching and I'd be like, well, what would you do in this situation? You know what I mean? Like grilling him, but I really need to know like where your mindset is. What are you thinking about in this type of situation? You know
what's important to you?
Right. And then when it came to money, like he thought when we were dating, before we had the finance discussion, he thought I made more money than him, but I managed my money better than him. So he was making $30K more than me.
Oh, wow.
But he was still check to check. You know what I mean? So it was just like how you managing your money makes a big difference as well. Absolutely. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just a lot more.
That's one thing we lack in the Black community though as well, is financial literacy.
I think financial literacy, and it's still a little bit taboo talking about money within relationships. Like people still don't really want to tell nobody what they make, and like, you know, you got money here and there, and you know, and it's one thing to not tell the world your business, but if I'm getting ready to create a household and a life with you, you know, there has to be a sense of trust. Why the hell would I want to live with you if I don't even trust you enough to tell you what my money look like? Like that doesn't make any sense to me. So there has to be that open communication of like, this is, you know, my salary is, this is how I manage my money. This is what kind of investments I have. This is what I have for the future.
So what's your FICO score?
What's your FICO score? And why do you know how to check your credit score?
Y'all follow budget.
There's a statistic out there that says like the number one reason for divorces is finances. And I cannot remember where I heard this. It must have been some podcast, but they were saying that it's actually like communication about finances are the number one reason for divorces. So please have the conversation.
But can I talk on this communication piece? Because, okay, like it's not just communication. It's one thing to have the conversation, but I have never had issues in my marriage for lack of communication. Okay. On the backside of communicating is respecting. And the other side of the communication is that you're going to come up with opinions that you might necessarily agree on. But if it's something important to your partner, you should respect them enough that if they say this is a top priority for me, then for certain things, I'm not saying for everything, because you're not going to agree on everything. But sometimes it's like, if this is important to me, I need it to be important to you. So it's like, I don't think that when people say communication, it's that they aren't talking enough or they're not arguing enough. If you've gotten a divorce, I'm sure you've had plenty of arguments about it. And it's about respecting what's being said in the conversations, not just having the conversations. So I think it's just the two pieces. Like, yes, communication is important, but I don't need you to listen to what I'm saying. I need you to act on what I'm saying and respect me enough to act on it.
That's real.
That's all good. All right, guys, so we've had an awesome conversation. A lot of great points were made. Let's wrap this conversation up. Before we get out of here, does anyone have any last minute questions, conversations, gems they want to drop? What y'all got? Real quick.
So I have a question for all the single ladies. If you're single, say I.
Paige is real quiet. Only 3 people are married.
I thought you were dropping your IG.
At @it's_Piggott.
Link in the bio.
Link in the bio.
Double tap. Okay, so
like, comment, subscribe.
My question for all the married like, comment, subscribe. Okay, so my comment for all the married women, after having this conversation, what as you were dating, or if anything popped up, I love how Alanna said, like, when she was dating her husband, she would just drop like little gems and not necessarily making it noticeable, but like just having a conversation because it's gonna put me up on game. Like, how you really feeling? Mm-hmm. What do you think? And I want a response from everybody who's married, Christy, Tena, Alanna. What is something key you should probably try to ask, if not ask, but like try to figure out the answer for how your significant other feels about what we've been talking about?
Christy?
No pressure.
Okay. I think asking if we go hypothetical or just direct, I just ask about future stuff. So like, what are your goals? What are you reaching towards? What are you trying to get to? And then in that sense, since we're talking about finances, like, and then maybe what do you have in place that's getting you towards those goals? So like, whether it be the savings or investments, or let's say maybe you're looking for advice yourself or not. Maybe you just want to see if they're actually into investing and all that. Like asking, asking for tips or anything like that on saving or investments or attaining future goals. That's what I'll say since I was put on the spot.
Tena, Alanna, what you got?
I'll go. I think that, again, I'm just not a huge fan of talking. Like, talking is great, but most times people will say something agreeable. So I think that, again, the key is learning how to work together. So it's like, if you're engaged or considering being engaged, I think it's great to set goals together and see if you guys, assuming that you've had that baseline conversation, right? Because I'm saying that the baseline conversation isn't a big deal. Assuming you've had that, then are there goals you can set together or individually set your own personal goals, but discuss them together and encourage each other and work towards a result together? Because you guys might be at starting points that, who knows what the starting point is, but at the end of the day, can you achieve your financial goals together? Can you save up for an engagement party? Can you save up for a wedding ring? Can you both save $5,000 within 1 year? Like, that to me is super important, learning how to work together.
Mm-hmm. All right, Alanna.
I will piggyback off of what Tena said, but also, like, I don't know. I think, okay, if you would have asked me this a couple of years ago, I am not the big communicator, right? But now, like, this Negro got me talking, right? So now I'm like, I need to know what you're thinking. I need to know your thought process. I need to know, like, how you view different things, right? So to me, that comes with asking questions. And like I said earlier, like throwing out scenarios that I saw on Love and Hip Hop. You know what I mean? Like, what would you do in this situation? You know what I mean? Like, how you gonna act?
So, would you take Saweetie's car?
Oh, baby! Okay, I'm gonna let you finish.
That's the thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you are sitting there thinking like, damn, what would this nigga do? Then that's something, I mean, ask, shoot. And even though like sometimes it is all talk, once you get to a certain point in your relationship, like you're really going to be expressing how you think and what you would do in these situations. And then I would also say, even though I haven't done my part, and this would have been a really good idea if we were dating, but creating a life plan. Right? It doesn't involve the other person, but you creating your own life plan. And that way you get to understand like their thought process on what they see happening in their future. You know what I mean? Whether that includes you or not. You know what I mean? Like, do you want to have kids? Do you think it's important to start saving for retirement? And what does that number look like? Are you looking into, talking to a financial planner or a financial advisor so that you know what to do with your money that you have coming in, regardless of what that paycheck says? You know what I mean? Do you know how to manage that money? And do you have somebody that helps you do so? So, I mean, a lot of that to me comes with communication. And so that's always my biggest thing, like asking questions, even though like sometimes I would be like, damn, should I ask this? But you got to bite the bullet. You know what I mean? Like if I'm thinking about marriage, you know what I mean? That next step, then I need to know. So you got to talk to me.
Especially if you're at that point where you're about to make that that decision, then like all questions are fair game.
Mm-hmm. Can I say something as a single lady?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So I feel like at the same token, there's a period of dating where talking about money feels a little inappropriate. And so what I've learned to do is like peep game. I see you eat out a lot. I see your rent is late.
How you see that, sis?
Now, people will tell you. People will, if you sit quietly, people will tell you.
I see you asking me for $20.
What? What? Who are we dating?
She's in Philly, y'all. She's in Philly.
Don't excuse me, lovely people of Philly, please do not come.
We love y'all.
Please, lovely people of Philly. I don't know why she said anything like that. We love y'all.
No, I love Paige, but I ain't never had no man tell me their rent was late.
Yeah, don't tell me that. Don't do
$20.
For $20.
That's $20 though.
Their rent is late. They're not paying their car note.
They just be telling you this, girl. You must be the man whisperer because
they decided to let their credit score drop because not this month. I mean, and people might not even be saying these direct statements, but you know, peep game.
Yeah,
ladies, single ladies, peep game.
But we're also above. All of us are above 30. So once you peep any of these factors that Paige mentioned, it's time to go.
Paige, we're all above 30. Stop
I'm 27.
It.
Bye.
Don't lie to the people.
Paige said, who is 30?
Except for Paige.
To Paige's point, aside from knowing if your rent was late, which seems like I don't know why you would know that. I do agree. I think that there are a lot of things you can kind of observe just from paying attention about people's their financial health, you know, whether, you know, they maintain themselves, you know, do they seem to be spending an excessive amount of money all the time? Do they always seem to like be making comments like, dang, I ain't got it, or, you know, whatever the case is, but they always traveling. Like you can kind of see people's habits about.
I was gonna say, plan a trip. Can you come?
Right, you're planning a trip, but I'm chasing you down for money. How people tip, which personally, as a former bartender and current bartender, that's an indication.
No, Alex, I just started tipping real good, and it ain't because I didn't have the money to tip.
Always check.
It ain't because I didn't have the money to tip. It was just because it was just a mature thing. Because for me, if you didn't give me the service that I thought you should give me,
okay, we're not gonna make this conversation.
That's a whole other conversation.
My point is, I do think there are subtle hints that you can pick up on how people manage and just kind of their financial responsibility in life. I do think there are little tidbits that you can pick up on about people handling that. So I agree with Paige to that point. In the beginning, before you get to that place where it is appropriate to be asking those questions, because do not ask me my salary on the first day. I will walk out. That is.
Do not ask me my credit score. Do not ask me how much I'm saving.
Don't ask me how much my rent is. None of that stupid stuff.
What data are you on when they're telling you their
Okay. Before we fall down that rabbit hole, I want to thank you all. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up.
It's time to go.
I want to thank everybody for listening.
You know who you are. I hope you pay your rent this month.
The inaugural episode of It's a Debate podcast. I hope you guys have fun with us. And check us out on the next episode where we have another dope topic to talk about. But until then, peace.
Adios.